hope. That's what the Spring Festival, the most important celebration in the traditional Chinese calendar, is supposed to commemorate, aside from signaling, well, the coming of spring. Renewal, a time for new beginnings, fresh starts. Green stuff grows out of the ground. Politicians fulfill their campaign promises. Concert tickets for A-list pop stars never get scalped. Babies get born, and nobody gets urinary incontinence after. And Chinese families all over the world come together in honor of love, peace, and togetherness. But this is not that kind of story. This is a story where bad things happen to good people, especially single people. Because here's the deal. For folks like me who find themselves single by February, Spring Festival is not a joyous occasion. It's a time for conjuring up imaginary boyfriends with names like Pete Yang or Anderson Lin, hiring male escorts who look smart instead of hot, marrying the next warm body you find, and, if all else fails, having plastic surgery and changing your name so your family can never find you. For desperate times call for desperate measures, and there is no period of time more desperate for single Chinese females over the age of 30 everywhere than the annual spinster shaming festival, aka Chinese New Year. God help us, persecuted singletons. God help us all. Spring is coming. It was noon. Linda May Reyes and I were sitting in a car in front of our aunt's house in matching updos, smoking Cretex, and hunched over our smartphones as we crammed for the toughest interview that we would face this year, the "Why are you still single in your 30s, you disappointment to your ancestors?" inquisition. Our interrogators lay in wait, and they were legion. The Tangs, our family, were very prolific breeders. Each year, as was customary on the second day of Chinese New Year, Auntie Weiwei would host a lavish luncheon for all the Singapore-based Tangs. These luncheons were mandatory family time. Everyone had to show their faces if they were in town, the only acceptable escape clauses being death, disability, a job-related trip, or the loss of one's job, in which case you might as well be dead. If you're wondering why Auntie Weiwei commanded such power, aside from the fact that she was housing our clan's living deity, Grandma Tang, it's because she was our clan's godfather, minus the snazzy horsehead deliveries. Many of the older Tangs were in her debt. Not only did she act as the family's unofficial private bank for the favored few, she'd basically raised the lot of them after my grandfather passed away in the 1950s and left my grandmother destitute. As the eldest of a brood of 9 siblings, Auntie Weiwei had dropped out of secondary school and worked 2 jobs to help defray household expenses. That's how her siblings all managed to finish their secondary schooling, and, for some of the higher achievers, university, even as it came at her own expense. At least karma had rewarded her sacrifice. After migrating to Singapore in her late 20s, she had married well, against the odds, to a successful businessman. When he died soon after, of entirely natural causes, she'd inherited several tracts of land, the sale of which had made her, and her only daughter, Helen, eye-wateringly wealthy. Hence, her unassailable position as de facto matriarch of the Tang clan, since there is nothing that the Chinese respect more than wealth, especially the kind that might potentially trickle downstream, posthumously.